So let's create a drawing using normal surfaces and linear dimensions. So first we want to open up our title block. Mine open in edit sheet format. So what I want to do is go to edit working views to bring it back into the traditional starting view. And then from here, the first instance of a view that we want to add is the front view. So that one that has a little blue icon with the yellow down at the corner will allow us to go under Windows, flip over to our part, and select the front face that we want to serve as our front view. From there, we'll select on the feature tree or by right-clicking on the red viewing pane around the view and select Properties. Now in the Properties window, what we want to do is make sure that we've selected hidden lines, center lines, axes, turned off fillets, and then changed our scale to something that's appropriate for the size of our object. So here I went to a half, but I'm ultimately going to go to a third because it's still going to be a little too big. So I'm just going to move it into place. From there, I'm going to select my projected views and add a top view and a side view. I want to go ahead and delete the labels that say top view in the scale, because for the scale, since everything is going to be the same size, I'm going to set that scale on my sheet background, and that's redundant to have those on the label, so we don't need those. I'm going to set the scale to be 1/3 so that everything fits on the page a little bit more, and I have more room to add my dimensions. From here, I want to add an isometric view. And when I go into Windows and then to my part, I want to make sure I orient it into isometric view. Mine already is because I like to save it that way. But it does not auto orient to isometric view. So you do want to make sure that when you select on your part, it's already in isometric view. From here, you want to go into Properties and change the scale. So here, I'm going to change it to a third. I could do a 6 so that it's half the size of my 3 standard views, but if it fits at the same scale, then that's great too. If it were anything other than half the size or 1-to-1 of the other views, then I would need to add a label for that. But since it's the same, I can leave it. Now make sure that with properties for your isometric view, you do not show hidden lines, axes, or center lines. Next, I'm going to add dimensions. So I'm going to start by doing an auto generation. It helps you get some views dimension, but it doesn't necessarily do it in the most optimal fashion. If it's easier for you to start from scratch, that's totally fine to do. You want to make sure that you have the overall height, width, and depth for your part in general and each of your individual features. So for here, I want to make sure that I have the total height, the height of the panel, and the height of the block identified out on that front view. Now, typically you want to lump the like dimensions together on views. So I'm going to put my heights on my front view, my depths on my side view, and my widths on my top view. You don't have to do it in that set fashion, but it helps to have a little bit of an organizational scheme when you're setting your dimensions together. If it gets too cluttered on one view, you can certainly spread them out. And then when you're adding dimensions for your length dimensions, when you click on a line, it's going to select the line and then you place the dimension. But if you're looking for distance between two features, you'll just click consecutively until it gives you that distance. If you're having trouble or it's showing you a horizontal and you want it to be a vertical, you can right click and change those settings and force it to be horizontal or vertical. Or off on the side there in that window that pops up, you can change the settings as well. Make sure you line everything up. Try not to cross any of your dimension lines. Make sure that everything has enough room so that it's not confusing which one you're looking at. And then once everything is dimensioned, go ahead and select everything and change all of your units at once. So for this one, it is going to be in millimeters. So I want to choose the num.dimm option for my units, and that does stand for millimeters. And the dot is for the decimal place. So make sure you choose the one with the decimal and not the comma. part. I've already saved it when I started. So instead of saving as, I'm just going to save. If you need to save it as and name it and everything, get it in the right folder, please do so. And then from here, I'm going to also save as a type PDF. And that's going to be my preferred file format for exchanging information with other clients or other people. That way, you don't have to send the part file and the drawing file if they have CATIA. If they don't have CATIA, they can't open them that way anyway. So PDF is a lot easier for file exchange as long as people don't have to edit the files. Also with the PDFs, they look a lot cleaner because you don't have those view panes that show up. So this is kind of your final view of your drawing.